So we just put together the best podcast episode we've ever done.
Considering it was our first podcast episode, I would have to agree.
All right, so I might be overselling it a little bit, but we really did have a great conversation about the why behind why we're putting this podcast together. So we look forward to hearing from you, but sit back and enjoy the episode. What started as a Saturday morning coffee date turned into a podcast where we chat about things like faith, family, finances, and so much more.
We're just a husband and wife living this devoted life, and we're here to help you live this devoted life too.
Hi, I'm James,
And I'm Shanda.
and welcome to This Devoted Life podcast, the very first episode.
Woohoo! Yeah, what started as just a Saturday morning coffee date between James and I has turned into a podcast. It was funny because I actually did not even like coffee prior to a year ago, but his persistence, which is he's very persistent,
I am.
won me over. He wanted to just have a time to sit down and chat about life, things that we needed to discuss as a husband and wife, things in the upcoming week, things that went well the week before, maybe even like some parenting things that were going on that we needed to discuss.
I even
So
tried to create an agenda, but that didn't fly. So we
we,
didn't go down that road. But
no.
we have had an awesome just season of conversations and growing and learning together.
Yeah. So, and I do like coffee now. I mean, I drink it with a lot of cream, but
A little bit of coffee with our cream.
a little bit of coffee with my cream. But
Yeah,
just the time that you and I have been able to have together just to sit and talk has been really good. Not that we didn't communicate before, but just that really intentional time that we were having on Saturday mornings has just been really nice.
it has. Yeah, and with 4 kids, there's just so many distractions, so many things that just really absorb our time. Full time job, and she's stay at home mom, homeschooling mom, just inundated with things. So it was just a really good opportunity to reset and talk with each other.
Yeah, and I think it adds to like a really healthy marriage too. Just having that communication, which is actually something that we'll talk about in upcoming episodes a little more deeply. Just the communication and how important that is between a husband and wife. But
It
if
really is.
to have a healthy marriage, just that's where things go from there as far as like a healthy family and a healthy spiritual life. Like you need to have a healthy family or a healthy marriage as well.
Yeah. So in life, there's so many things that draw our attention. The shiny object syndrome, and the grass is always greener. And whether that's with your career, with your job, with marriage, with parenting, just so many different things that can distract us or seem like are going better in other families and other marriages and other things. And we're a firm believer that the grass is always greenest where you water it,
Yes.
and that the grass isn't always greener elsewhere. The lenses that we see it through, and the things that look good from the outside, in other areas of life, probably A, aren't as good
Mhm.
as they seem, and B, they aren't unattainable. They're very attainable in your life and in your marriage
Yeah.
and in your children.
Yeah, and in the day and age that we live in, social media plays such a big role that we're really seeing the highlight reel of everyone's lives. And so it's easy to look at that and think that the grass is greener on the other side because you think that someone is doing something better because of
Yes.
how it's perceived online. But really, we're all just flawed humans doing the best that we can. And yeah.
Some more flawed than others. No,
Oh boy.
and I'm one of them. So yeah, basically, the reason why we're putting this podcast together right now, Shanda's been talking about it for several years now, and not that have ever been opposed to it, but again, we're inundated with things throughout our lifetime, sappers. But with the world that we're living in, and again, I don't want to like say that in too negative
Yeah,
of a
and it's not a
connotation.
doom and gloom kind of
No,
thing.
we're with every challenge is an opportunity, and but I personally have been really compelled to share positives, share negatives, and learn with those around us. And hopefully, we can make a positive impact, not only in our communities, but around the world. And that has been the catalyst of, jumping into this and really making a go of it. So, we have numerous upcoming topics that we're going to talk through. I'll breeze over those and then we can kind of, elaborate on a few things. But the upcoming topics that we plan on going over in the upcoming weeks and months, and hopefully years, are overcoming the challenges of parenting in our current world. Communication in marriage, which Shanda already alluded to, is a big one. Homeschooling, the importance of critical thinking from a biblical perspective. We'll probably go over numerous, you know, demystifying and debunking the myths of the world and those things that we're kind of told on a regular basis. Postpartum depression, strategies for raising boys, strategies for raising girls. We actually have 3 girls, so
He's in
um,
so much trouble.
I'm hoping that that all goes really well. But I personally want to prepare to be the best dad that I can possibly be for all of my children. Um, so hopefully we'll go through some of those and learn things together. Logical fallacies, and we actually that's literally just kind of the tip of the iceberg. I have a whole OneNote full of different things that, Lord willing, we're going to go over.
Yeah, you have a spreadsheet for basically everything. So
That I do.
if you haven't figured out by now, he has a very analytical mind, and I am the creativity to his intelligence, maybe.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit about me. Not that you necessarily care, but hopefully we can, the personal side of things will help you understand kind of where
Mm.
we came from, where we're at, where we're going. I am a civil engineer by degree. But I don't. I'm not a practicing engineer per se in my day job. I am part owner of a relatively large business. I'm very impassioned by leadership and all of the different aspects around being a good, godly leader, a good, godly man, and a good, godly father, a good, godly husband, and just literally trying to get better every day without comparing myself to others around me, but rather just really focus on the things that I can control and the things that I need to get better at.
Yeah.
So again, we'll go through family history and kind of our childhoods, but that's a little snapshot of kind of who I am.
Yeah. And as your wife, I can attest to the fact that you are a wonderful, godly leader. And I really have
Thanks.
appreciated that about you is you know when to show grace and you also know how to lead well. So I've always really appreciated that about you. In fact, it's kind of funny. So I had started Devoted Motherhood. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's devoted_motherhood. And that was something that I started years ago. But what a lot of people may not really know is that a lot of the things that I share on there are things that you and I have discussed. And a
Yes.
lot of it is wisdom that I have gleaned from you. Your mom, when you were real little, always she told me that she always prayed that you would grow in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
Hmm.
And as your wife, I am very blessed to now reap the benefit of that prayer because I truly believe that God has answered her prayer and given you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And so I really do appreciate that about you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
So
we are a great team. I've learned a ton from you throughout the years. It's really easy for me to get tunnel vision and, get very intense. I played a lot of sports throughout my life. Athletics has been a big part of my life, and I can definitely be intense. Not only out on the field and on the ice and on the court, and or the course per se, but I bring that into my daily life and business and
Well, I've
things like
joked
that,
with
so
you that I hold the reins and you're like the workhorse, and every now and then I gotta rein you in a little bit,
yeah.
but I think we make a I think we make a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and again, we have learned and continue to learn so much. I look back at myself 5 years ago and think, "Man, that was pretty silly," or
mhm,
"I was really off base on that." And I probably will feel the same way in 5 years looking back to myself today.
mhm,
But I don't want that to keep us from just sharing our lives and sharing the things that God has taught us right now. Because again, we don't have it figured out. We aren't
no,
perfect, but we are trying to get better. And I do think that we have a few things to share that hopefully just shed some light on living as a Christian spouse
mhm,
and living as a Christian parent in today's world. And man, we're up against a lot of things,
yeah,
and but to me, it's energizing. It's
mhm,
not defeating, and it's not something that I am scared about. I genuinely just want to make sure that we're preparing ourselves and
yeah.
preparing our children to thrive in a world like we're living in today.
Yeah, all of life is sanctification, and we are never going to reach a perfect sanctification until one day
Hmm.
when we're in heaven with our glorified bodies. And so anything that we are sharing here is just stuff that God is working on in our lives. And do we have it all figured out? Absolutely not. And we want to, but I guess what our goal is to encourage you to continue to grow, to
Hmm.
continue to learn, to continue to seek good biblical wisdom, and to be okay with saying, "Oh, I didn't have this all figured
Yeah.
out," and just to learn from one another. So we're hoping that we have really great conversations between like you and I, but also with those who are listening to us. I always want to try to stay humble and just to make sure that we are always learning and growing. And, like the Bible talks about that we are supposed to, as a body of believers, edify
Hmm.
one another. And so
Yes.
that's what this is really all about. You've said several times now that you're energized by this. And we,
Hmm.
we don't want to, or maybe what I'm trying to say is that we do want to just encourage and to take that energization and to share it with others,
Yes.
because it is so easy in our world right now to live a defeated Christian
It is.
life,
Yeah. Yep.
because it is so prevalent around us, just the evil that's out there. And
Yeah, I mean, in First Peter, it talks about he seeketh, as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour,
yeah,
and there's just so many different ways that we can kind of unpack that, and so many paths that we can go down. But we also want to just share logic and critical thinking, and just being a good community member as well. So if you're maybe not someone who knows the Lord, or cares about Christianity, but you do want to be a great parent and the best spouse that you can be. um,
it's not that we are a great parents
yeah,
necessarily, but
yeah,
you want to be one. That is
correct.
our desire to be one.
Yes, yeah. Then come along on this journey with us. I mean, the reason why we do make biblical and Christian things a priority is just because that's what we prioritize and how we try to live our lives. But again, we are far from perfect,
Yeah.
and we want to just make all of our fellow believers and also fellow millennials and fellow the next generation. And I think if you're in your 20s through your 40s, a lot of the things that we'll talk about will resonate with you. And we're all at different parts in our lives, and we're all aspiring to be a little bit different
Mhm.
people. And
Yeah.
yeah, just I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the journey.
Yeah.
We're gonna be taking you on a few vacations with us probably throughout the year.
Woohoo.
Yeah, we have a few things coming up, and Lord willing, we'll be taking you camping this summer. we live in Michigan, and that's where we were born and
Mhm.
raised. And we really enjoy just being outside
Mhm.
and to develop that in our
Yeah.
children. And
We've
go
been
ahead.
married now for 15 years. We still feel like spring chickens,
Hmm.
but I I joined a MOPS group recently, like a moms of preschoolers, and as we were introducing ourselves, I realized very quickly that I was not the new mom anymore. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, I have four kids. Just because I still have a preschooler doesn't mean that I am a new mom. And so, like we've said over and over, we don't have it all figured out, but we have gleaned wisdom along the way. Our children are 10 and under now. And everyone's journey is going to be different,
Yep.
which is what I think is really cool about the Christian walk is that God has not called us all to look the same.
Hmm.
What he has called us to do is to reflect him, and we can all do that in different ways.
Yep.
And so, like, our family has chosen to homeschool, so that is going to be a conversation that we will enjoy talking about, but that's not necessarily what God has called someone else to either.
Hmm.
So, we're hoping to season everything that we say with grace and with salt, and just to just share the journey that God has put us on with the intention of encouraging others, not necessarily to walk the same path we're walking, but to um, go on the same journey that we're going on, which is once again sanctification. And
Hmm.
so,
Yeah, and you can. I'm very much. These are kind of maybe touchy feely words per se, but I really love the abundance mindset rather than the scarcity mindset. And there are things that we can implement in our
mm,
lives and change that truly do help us thrive,
yeah.
both here on earth and for eternity.
Yeah, God has
And
called us to live abundant lives.
yes,
He has not called us to live defeated lives.
yeah,
He wants us to live abundantly in the life that He has
yeah.
given
Or
us.
live in the spirit of fear.
Yeah.
Fear and worry can be crippling. And again, those are things that I don't take lightly
Mm-hmm.
because it is real. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes perception does become
But
reality.
also
And
remembering that God has not given us a spirit of fear and
yep,
recognizing where that fear is actually coming from.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Yeah, we're excited about it. We're looking forward to going on this journey with you, like I said earlier. And one thing that we really need from you is input, questions, different perspectives, and things that we can talk about together. So, the best way to get a hold of us is if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously comment down below. If you are listening on the various podcast outlets, reach out to Shanda at
Devoted underscore motherhood on Instagram, or you can email us. It's podcast at thisdevotedlife.com. Like I said, we would love to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that's a wrap
That's a
for this
wrap.
episode.
So,
Some episodes will be longer, some will be shorter, but
so
yeah,
until then, seek God, love your spouse, hug your kids, and stay devoted.
awesome. Yeah, have a great day.